technology is there to give a tool for everyone. That's almost the religion of our generation. I hope I don't get hacked after that. But
yeah, the second order effect is like governments can start gaming this to put pressure on the one or two choke points in the whole infrastructure. Because if you can get Apple to take down Telegram, the next thing you can probably convince Android to remove it from the Play Store as well.
I think this is where the problem I see, Alex. I don't think Telegram are doing their job.
Tell me more.
Apple also are standing for privacy. It's almost their calling, right? And that's their value proposition, and that's how they are actually doing this. So go back to Telegram. You claimed that you are the guru of privacy and security, then do your job right to the end. So if you think that the government is actually adding unsolicited groups there, put your moderator rules. Remove one, promote one, like create one, take one. As a matter of fact, actually, that most of the security agencies, they're already members of the open channels.
Oh, for
that
sure.
are causing the
100%.
problems, and they are listening.
Magic is just science we don't understand yet. Technology is the new magic. Computers are magnificent but lonely. The human spirit lives in technology. Tomorrow is built on questions. Welcome to the TrickCast.
So last night, Apple reached out and switched off Telegram, which was just on the news all over this morning. And those who might be listening a little bit later on, everything is back on track. Telegram is back in the App Store with Apple. But the problem is that we have an app with almost 1 billion people, which is, 1 in every 8 people on the planet. And without any warning, without any hesitation, everything was just taken down. No appeal, no vote. And this brings an interesting topic that one company has one very powerful gate that in an afternoon they can take down, an application that's being used by 1 billion people. So this is what this episode is going to be about today, is who gets to open and close the gates and what happens to everything that flows through it, including both your money and your messages. And we're going to focus on 2 major stories. The first one is, of course, Apple making Telegram disappear temporarily. And on the same note, we're going to talk about a slightly different angle, that instead of a company closing their gates, we have actually WhatsApp under the leadership of oversight of Meta, of course, and Mark Zuckerberg, opening the gates to enable payments throughout WhatsApp. And at the same time, the second story, we're going to take into the actual capital flow once those gates get open. So we talked about major IPOs recently, including the SpaceX IPO that recently came through. There's a couple other rumored ones, Anthropic, OpenAI, Polymarket, and something we don't usually get into, but talk about the political, the financial, the market implications of all of this flow of money and information. So welcome to the TrickCast. This is your co-host, Alex, and Amir. Welcome to another episode. Good to see you.
Good morning, Alex. I don't want to touch one of the applications that you like. Guys, TrickCasters, that's what happened when someone touch an application that Alex like. Looks, you can clearly see that you are a Telegram enthusiast. So, yes, go ahead.
I've tried Signal as well. I've tried a lot of these applications, and my mindset is, we've talked about Pavel Durov, we talked about Telegram before. I don't have anything to hide, but I still don't want somebody prying through my stuff without reason, right? If you have a suspicion, like, you get stopped on the side of the road by a police officer, you have a suspicion that I was speeding, that, my car looked like a criminal who's trying to escape, you need to do your check. Hey, sure, go ahead, right? Lawfully, legally, through the due process. But there have been famous instances, for example, of Signal getting hacked. And I've been using Signal for a very long time. And when you see journalists, getting information leaked of their sources, of their people they're going to interview, that obviously becomes a problem. And it seems like Telegram is the last one standing. Obviously, they put a lot of pressure on them in the past through different ways, but we're going to get into the story in a second. But yeah, I'm definitely a little bit ticked off, Amir, as you can tell.
So I could see that. So, and I guess every TrickCaster sees that. So first of all, welcome to all the TrickCasters. Thanks for coming on and tuning in to listen to us. And always good to see you, Alex. So
Likewise.
Okay, let me throw back a big stone on you and say, actually, I don't think Telegram is the most secure.
Before we do, should we give a bit of a background, like what actually happened? What's the backstory here? Kind of the implications, and maybe we can get into the more finer points about security, privacy, all of that kind of stuff.
All right, cool. Or at least first of all, Telegram didn't say that someone took them off. They say it was a brief outage caused the disappearance from the App Store. So I think Apple also didn't say they banned, or they have done, although they have done it before in 2018 as well. So the story to be confirmed was that Apple authorized a child abuse channel that actually has been massively used into the Telegram, and they have briefly took off Telegram from the App Store, asked the application moderator to remove this channel, and the channel has been moved, and platform has been put back on the store. So
One thing, a little bit tongue in cheek, we have a tweet from Telegram on X, obviously. Reports on my device are greatly exaggerated, and a little Apple logo, which I thought was quite funny.
The point is, what I'm trying to say is, does Apple have the right to remove an app from the App Store? 100%. It's their
It's
application.
their marketplace, right?
It's their marketplace. You follow my rules, you apply to my rules. And I actually, away from Telegram or anything else, do you remember Fortnite?
Yeah, of course.
Where are they now?
You tell me. I don't know. I'm not a big gamer nowadays. What did I miss?
They gone. They still people. Some people play Fortnite. Some people are playing Fortnite in the App Store. Some in their laptops. There's definitely the Fortnite fanatics. They are still doing the game. But Fortnite, before being on the App Store and after being removed from the App Store on their own choice, by the way, they're not the same. Once upon a time, the most growing game in the world, and they entered into a dispute for a different reason, actually, on the 30% commission on the purchases of the tokens inside Fortnite.
And Fortnite was printing money, right? I mean, their model of making the game free, but monetizing all the perks and upgrades, that was quite clever.
So the point is, the wallet before App Store, no one remembered, right? So how was the wallet before App Store? You go into the website of the company, you find the platform that you
download the zip file,
and then you download it, download the zip file, and then let's try to play. And very non-standard formatting, application crashing or not crashing. Someone is flawless, someone is not flawless, and it's totally disturbing the flow of the operating system, like adding a lot of things to privacy. So Apple ecosystem altogether is actually about privacy. And that whole ecosystem that is about privacy gets the game about standardization of everything is being put onto that phone that you have has to follow a certain standard. And hence, Apple Store moved from a marketplace, which was the intention meant, to also a gate to control that privacy and security on the phone. So, and then with that rules, they started moving into also regulating which app is inside their platform on their App Store. So if tomorrow Telegram is moved from App Store, you can jailbreak your phone and download Telegram. Probably it will work, but you also lost your security and privacy of the phone.
Now, you know, when I saw the news last night or this morning, the first thing I did is I checked if it's gone on Android. It wasn't. I saw I had an option to update my app, so I did that right away. And then I was keeping track actually on their website if there's going to be some kind of SDK or something like this that I could download in the future. And I was sure that, look, you got like pretty much a billion, more or less Eastern European. There's a lot of Eastern Europeans, obviously, like Russians, Ukrainians, Belarus. A lot of these countries use Telegram, popular in India, popular in many places. But it's a lot of quite technical people, I would say. The average user is usually on WhatsApp or Messenger. So people who are on Telegram, they have different channels with bots running there. I would say it's people who are a bit more technically savvy. And my first thought was, this is actually kind of great news because I've seen what happened with Signal. So my thought was, what's Pavel Durov going to do? Is he going to make the app kind of downloadable in some distributed way? Is it going to create some new open app store or something like that? And that's the first kind of thought that came to my mind. Of course, the second order ramifications is, you know, the main reason is there was some illicit child abuse or whatever content on there. 100% I agree that should be taken down. Like there's no gray lines here. It's black or white, right? But then I thought, look, if I'm a government agency, if I'm the government of France who's tried to put pressure on Telegram before, why won't I keep making channels and putting more users with this kind of shady in the gray content and give more reasons for Telegram to be taken down, right? So like it opened kind of a dynamic that I believe this could be played on both sides, right? Either Telegram's going to have to take, the screening and the moderation more seriously and automate it where the actual employees are not looking at the content, right? Do it kind of in a way where it's not visible to their employees, let's say, right? Where that data is protected, it's analyzed somewhere in a sandbox or something like that. But yeah, the second order effect is like governments could start gaming this to put pressure on the one or two, choke points in the whole infrastructure. Because if you can get Apple to take down Telegram, the next thing you can probably convince Android to remove it from the Play Store as well. What do you do then, right? You can't update your app. You can. So yeah, it creates kind of issues on both sides, but I'm still leaning more towards letting Telegram do its thing and try to overcome these issues from a technology standpoint, where there's minimal human involvement.
I think this is where the problem I see, Alex. I don't think Telegram are doing their job.
Tell me more.
So I think Telegram they have a very good market propositioning. Their value propositioning is very clear, and they managed to embed it in the head of everyone. We are safe, we are secure, we are giving you the privacy. They passed the message all over, and they came over it. They rode over the wave of Meta being untrustworthy, and they came, and you could even hear people that are, I would call them the Telegrammers. They say, like, I'm an anti-Meta platform. It's like, I'm anti-Meta. I don't do that. So, oh God, you Meta guys. No, I'm not saying Meta is trustworthy or untrustworthy. That's not my place to say as well. But it's Telegram have managed to create a big value proposition, right? Part of creating that value proposition is to stand by it. And I am gonna tell you, man, like, you are in Telegram because it's private. Probably only your chat with the person, point-to-point chats are private.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly secured. And I can confirm to you that the point-to-point chats on WhatsApp is also encrypted, and the point-to-point chats on any other mostly platforms, that's one of the easiest things to encrypt in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And my most sophisticated platform for messaging in encryption is the iMessage itself of the iPhone. And this is where real professionals, I would say, use. So, but now go back to Telegram. You claimed that you are the guru of privacy and security, then do your job right to the end. So if you think that the government is actually adding unsolicited groups there, put your moderator rules. Remove one, vote one, like create one, take one. I know, as a matter of fact, actually, that most of the security agencies, they're already members of the open channels.
Oh, for
that
sure,
are causing
100%.
the problems, and they are listening to whatever is there, and there's ways of doing that. Now, you don't even need to be members. You can put a bot there, and the bot will listen, and if see there's something sensing the turmoil happening or somewhere, or sensing a threat of an alert or something, it gets reported back. So I doubt that the point-to-point chats are actually cracked in any of the platforms without a strict intention to go to the person and do that. And even to do that, there's much easier ways than taking into the account.
I'm with you there. So let's say they're on par. We take WhatsApp, we take Telegram. I would still trust the leader more, the guy who's trying to resist censorship. Again, Telegram is not perfect. To be honest, not my favorite messaging app. I'll be the first one to admit it. But the fact that the leader, at the cost of his personal freedom, is willing to stand up to some of those principles and try to resist censorship, to me, that's important. I think I trust Pavel Durov to come out of this with his team with a good decision. Like you said, create some bot where it's, something running, automated. There's any suspicion, anything at all of some kind of content, you get notified. If you repeat, you get banned right away, right? Which is what they did with this user now. But I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg to take the same kinds of decisions and be mindful of my data and not take as much advantage and try to maximize profit from every user as he can. So I think it's more
there. I'm with you there. I think that the purpose and the public view, the public why of Pavel is very clear. I am standing to security, and I'm starting to safety, I'm standing to privacy, and I'm creating a safe environment to my customers or audience. And again, it's also the Soviet Union background and all.
Yeah.
Like if you grow under that, you value that much. And on the other side, Mark Zuckerberg, why is very clear. I'm here to make money. And then I'm gonna social engineer my purpose. I will find one that actually makes me look good. But it's very obvious that my clear purpose. I'm gonna create money, make money. It's an opportunity. I take it and make money out of it. It's an opportunity. I take it and make money
Yeah.
out of it. The why is different. Also on Apple, the why is different, and that's where I'm interested in here, because on Apple also are standing for privacy. So it's almost their calling, right? And that's their value proposition, and that's how they are actually doing this. So what you're really having here is a privacy versus privacy mindset. And I'm telling you, the more organized one is Apple. The one that is more structured and know what they're doing into their day-to-day is Apple. I think Pavel needs to surround himself with less revolutionary, more structured people to get the act right. It is not about just making sure that the extreme freedom also requires responsibility. So
Can we throw in one more, not curveball, but it's something that I forgot to maybe discuss with you ahead of our episode, but I think it's also relevant. Have you heard the news with Jack Dorsey's app, BitChat? So to fill in some gaps, Jack Dorsey is one of the early co-founders of Twitter originally. Became a co-founder at a bunch of other companies as well, got into the whole blockchain space, saw the whole privacy decentralization is kind of crucial. And he's got an app called BitChat where, again, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is it's using the kind of distributed ledger technology in Bitcoin. And it's using the very minimal technology that you don't need a crazy phone, right? But it's just letting people with any phone be nodes in the network. So you can safely send messages using the Bitcoin network, basically, but it's censorship resistant. And the government of India basically tried to crack it down. And Jack was like, look, you can't take this down. It's not me. I cannot delete the app because it is, delivered in a distributed way. And they're trying to sue them and, they're trying to basically get them completely removed. But the way he designed this technology is that this is censorship resistant from the foundations of how it's built, which I thought is interesting. And, some people were complaining that, oh, you can't use this technology to sow dissent or something like that. But an interesting thing is a lot of people have been using this in Nepal. I'm trying to find the exact post. But in Nepal, obviously, there have been a lot of government protests recently with corruption and whatnot. And the youth movement is basically standing up to the government and saying, look, you guys have to change your ways, right? And I think in some way, this still gives people almost like a democratic output to voice their concerns and their vote without, let's say the Indian government in a different world, if this was on Facebook, they could just put some pressure on Meta to take it down completely, right? So I thought that's interesting. I thought maybe this is a better version of Pavel, right? Building something like this from the foundational layer in a different way. What are your thoughts on that, Amir, just in general?
I love blockchain, and I think it's actually the whole purpose of the technology is creating a distributed act for people to be part of the ecosystem. Same thinking process of App Store, but again, I am coming from a background where I have seen shit happen, right? I have seen people die. I have seen people brainwashed or used in subconsciously inappropriate way to do things that backed by an ideology that needs to be. I'm a believer that you need to grow up your population right and make sure that the ideology is being good. I'm not saying that the government of X country or Y country are doing the best of their countries. Otherwise, everyone would be living in a good welfare. That's not happening. On the same time, technology is there to give a tool for everyone. That's almost the religion of our generation. So we're using that technology and we're doing the best out of it. And I think that's an amazing tech. I will definitely try to use it today. I hope I don't get hacked.
That's cool.
But
Cool.
I will definitely use it and choose it. But just back to the point, actually, Alex, and I think the controversy point here is what I'm trying to say. If between distribution, between value proposition, and between acts in between, right? So there is a distribution platform, like allowing you to reach, and that's their power, which is in this case App Store. There is an app that actually is claiming and standing with a value proposition backed with a founder that believes in that value proposition, and there's acts in the middle. The job of that founder is to make sure to play with the rules of the game and protect his why while doing that. And securing this, I am telling you, the most secure messaging platform you can use is iMessage, is Apple's. And
I'm checking. I'm checking right now, actually, how many people worldwide use. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say how many people use iPhones worldwide. I'm not sure if you have like roughly the estimates of the 1.46 to 1.56 billion people. As you're saying this, I almost wanted to argue that in the medium term, Telegram doesn't need Apple. I think Telegram has more leverage in a way to build their own distribution. They already have 1 billion users, right?
yeah,
So,
but that's a good angle. But that's a good angle, and I think now I'm gonna go back, because I always feel there is a why, definitely, with the people that they are standing by cause, and that's where it matches. But there is a wave happening now, a very clear wave, is actually becoming the channel, controlling the marketplace. And what I'm seeing in reality is that the messaging platforms starting to repurpose themselves to become the marketplace. Viber have done it with Rakuten, and then Telegram's doing it with the privacy and all the whatever the purpose, the value proposition is there. But however, Telegram managed to create a marketplace within Telegram, and the master of the masters, WeChat, managed to create his chat platform as the you do everything with WeChat.
Yeah.
And what you can see now is that social media platforms were the first to play the game of like App Store, Google Play, whatever marketplaces, trade, and then you move to the next. Social media started to become the new marketplace, and then another wave of privacy coming, and then messaging is becoming the new marketplace. We're trying to become the new marketplace. So Viber did it. It was very interesting. It worked for some time. Messaging, Telegram is working with it, and then WhatsApp is now also trying to do it. And I think this is our follow-up story.
Let's carry over in the second story. So WhatsApp is playing a bit of a different game. Obviously, Apple's got the market dominance already. They got this very tight choke point with very high, let's say, passing fees for the ships to come through. And on the other hand, you have WhatsApp, which was private. Then it got acquired by Meta. There's not much that they did over the years, like visually. You can see some new features here and there, but there wasn't, let's say, some revolutionary big change in WhatsApp. And obviously, that seems to be coming with a new magician in that space. So can you give us a bit of a backdrop there, Amir, with what's happening, and why is Zuckerberg opening the gates on WhatsApp?
I think what we need to, historically, when you look at Zuckerberg and how he, or Zuck, as people call him, how he's been trying to get things, he's trying to tie up technologies into sentences, right? So we started by the photos, and then we came into the social media, and then create a feed, and then it's create ads, monetization. It's somehow he has been always like the second fast mover. Like his Facebook was not the first, social media was not the first, photo, and none actually. Reels, everything is just like recopy of what is existing. Acquisition was successful in few, was not successful in few. So that's his ball game altogether. Now what he's doing in reality, I would not discount the acquisition of Manus in the relationship of WhatsApp.
Interesting.
WhatsApp and Manus together, they will become a super agent.
Let's take a quick pause here just for the audience who does have context in our previous conversations. Manus is another AI tool, which is, I would say in many ways on par, with Claude and ChatGPT in different areas, right? But it's got more of that autonomous kind of thing that You tell it what to do. It learns your preferences. You let it run. It gives you the finished task. They recently started integration with some other Meta-owned, Facebook-owned assets. So you can actually connect it, for example, to your Facebook ads manager or something like that, right? So there's stuff like that that's useful. But it's interesting that, yeah, now you connected it to WhatsApp. Do you see them doing something similar with Telegram? Like, I know some business owners who are running their entire business on Telegram. They run ads on Telegram, they post on channels, they get clients, they take payments. They have cryptocurrency as well now that, you can kind of pay cross-border. Do you see they're going in that direction as well, like agentic AI features within WhatsApp that you'll pay for?
100%. 100%. So now the most open actually platform, exactly opposite of the word private, by the way, is Telegram. It's integrated directly into the most of the chats. And then with Telegram, if all the chats of your salesman is there, so your salesperson is chatting with the customer, that's already captured by Telegram and fed into Manus or Fuzzer Lobster in Telegram.
And by the way, I have our own Manus bot set up on Telegram where I tell it stuff to do, like, hey, save this idea from me for our next episode and stuff like that. But yeah, it's actually like doing things autonomously and replying to me in the chat.
Exactly. So there's a couple of new trends coming together, right? So with ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, name it, we are now chatting again, right? The easiest channel for chatting is the existing messaging platforms.
Yeah.
So you have a messaging platform, be it Telegram or WhatsApp, whatever. You used your native, you can chat into it. So you can chat with your agent in reality. And then if I manage to put the agent in the back of the chats of my team, I'm collecting everything. So I don't need you anymore to go and feed into CRM. I don't need you anymore to go and feed into ERP. I don't need you anymore to go and fill that boring form for the leave on the HR. Just send a text to your HR manager saying, I'm going to be leave for the coming 3 days. My agent is capturing that.
My agent is going to talk to your agent.
They captured that. Yes, exactly. So they captured Manus, and now they are trying to integrate that, and that would be my bet. I have no information. I'm guessing like you here, but I would do it if I was them. I'll be integrating Manus in the back end of the WhatsApp. I will be making sure that the agents of the WhatsApp become the most predominant agent that can act on your behalf. And then I start really monetizing the ad. So instead of you searching on Facebook or Instagram for a travel destination,
I'm going to show you agentic tools that your agent needs and can buy directly on WhatsApp with your credit card without asking your opinion yet.
Exactly. So when you're planning your trip, instead of doing that you need to do before in Facebook or Instagram, take, hello, WhatsApp, I do that. For that to work, what do you need? You need payment gateway. You need a guy that actually knows how to monetize the money and have worked in the most sophisticated distribution networks in the world, I would claim. And that's where I feel there's geniusness in the selection of Kunal Shah to run this show.
So can you give us maybe a quick overview of who he is, kind of what's the magic there? And then we're going to tell people maybe how, once the gates are open, where the flow may go.
So Kunal Shah is I would say that's the normal mid-class Indian that has his family suffered a financial crisis. Like in these markets, your family will suffer a financial crisis once or twice in your lifetime. So his family came into a financial crisis. He decided to go into working plus studying. He likes software development, but he couldn't attend into a school because of the time of the work. So he chose the most degree that can fit into his work schedule. So he took philosophy in reality. And while actually working, and then he studied philosophy, and then philosophy, I think I love philosophy and psychology, and I think they complement every human. It should be like human studies, but I think philosophy made him think different. And the basics of philosophy is that you need to question everything. So coming out of that, he started his first startup, which kind of marketplace for exchange of almost borderline fintech. Didn't work well, but
I think
paved the way for
two fintechs, right? There was one fintech, CRED, and the other one, he was a co-founder, I think, FreeCharge, right?
Of FreeCharge. No, I'm talking the one before FreeCharge. I think it was called
yeah.
Prasad. That It was a kind of
Okay,
total
okay.
failure.
Mhm.
And then Prasad was the paving way to FreeCharge. And FreeCharge, since it is telco in reality. So in the
Mhm.
older days, I don't know if Europe passed through that, but in the Middle East, and I still the same, you need to go and buy a card in the street from
Mhm.
place, and that card is almost the currency that the telco understands.
Yep.
So if you want to buy $10, put it on your Vodafone, you would have to go to that place, buy these $10, put it on your phone, the top up in the Western world. So till very near future, we still have to use that card. And for that to work, you need to make sure that this card is available. So as a telco, you would master the act of being present as everywhere, because that's almost the make it or break it for the user to use the telco.
Mhm.
So you can have a SIM card from me, you can have your phone from me, but if you don't know where to top it up, then what good is it? So, and he entered that area in the right moment, and he created FreeCharge. And with FreeCharge, it's actually where he started his journey in startup. And again, it's a distribution network to make people top up their phone networks in India and make sure you are
Mhm.
available. You need to be an aggressive seller. It's almost a bazaar style. You go to the person, he say, top up now. You say, I want to top up with, I don't know, 5 nairas. No, make it 10. If you make it 10, you get discount on this. And then like there's this give and take with all the dealers. And then on that FreeCharge, he became the most dominant top up platform or charging platforms. And then now I'm taking the money anyway, so why don't I make it a fintech? And he made that. It's almost the same equivalent path of the M-Pesa in Africa. And maybe we can tell later the audience what's M-Pesa. So, and then CRED, which has become the more sophisticated closed group, now doing the same on the MasterCard or Visa credit payment. So in a nutshell, that's a guy that learned it, and on his words, if you want to build wealth, you play in the market where no one else. Go opposite to the market. And
Mhm.
he went opposite to the market in different setups that he have done. And when you are building something, it's only there is not much long time you can take till you have to become empathetic with your platform and with your team. And I can speak a lot about the empathy in building. Actually, that's a very interesting aspect that I see on that guy. So he has a
Mhm.
company now. He has CRED. He exited FreeCharge. It's a strong founder with a strong company, and fits exactly into where Zuckerberg wants to make the Manus WhatsApp marketplace
Connection. Yeah.
works with a payment gateway, with a builder that can really build and now transfer this big asset that he has. We said Telegram have 1 billion. Apple iPhone is 1.4 billion. I
Yep.
bet WhatsApp we can talk about 2 billion plus.
Mm.
So and then how to get that all together to be tied and build something that uses that agent, the messaging, and the marketplace, and monetize that. And I feel that's a genius move. It's like one
Well,
of
look.
those who say, that's a recruitment, man. That's the right player here.
Mm. I think one thing that's interesting as well. So one thing we also talked about in previous episodes, Amir, related to AI, that now anybody with decent ideas and some research and education and some hard work, they can create basically any product. And now the mode is not the product; it's actually the distribution, right? So if you got a social media channel with 100,000 subscribers, you can sell it to people. You got a newsletter with 10,000 people, and so on and so forth, right? You got an app store with 1.5 billion people. So anybody can make new stuff, but yeah, the distribution is the tricky part that people need to figure out. And I feel in a lot of areas, almost like the marketers are becoming the new engineers. Like engineers are becoming orchestrators, and the real people who can drive value is people who can, create that distribution and have access to that. So it's kind of interesting, tying into your point that Zuckerberg, got somebody who fits that exact profile of what he needs.
How dare you? There's engineers and they're the rest of the world, man. We don't put engineers with the rest. But it's I get you actually. I think marketeers are definitely taking the lead. That's the most software sophisticated skill that based on intuition will actually lead.
It's not codified that
in
AI
that.
can just copy it.
Exactly. There is an intuition, there's art, there's actually a mix of a couple of things coming in together to make sure that that marketing plan is work. But however, the distribution channel or reaching the channel, so the name of the game is 100,000 users, in my point of view. If you have 100,000 users, or if you can reach 100,000 people, 100,000 followers, 100,000, you are already in a place where you can generate a minimum of $10,000 a month. And that then it can grow from there.
So let's cover our second topic, because once these gates are open or closed, obviously it stops or it directs the flow of capital and a lot of other stuff, right? Not just our messages. And I wanted to discuss something we haven't touched about on the more concrete outcomes of the latest kind of investments that we've seen. Obviously, SpaceX IPO'd about a month ago from the time of the recording of this podcast. And by the way, just to put a little disclaimer, this is not financial advice. Talk to your, accountant and the finance person. But yeah, we're just trying to follow the macro trends. And it's interesting that we've had a pretty crappy world situation. We got the indefinite war in the Middle East, if we can call it that. We got the oil situation, just came out of COVID. There's a lot of money printing. Inflation is rampant. People's savings are getting eaten by the money printing. Your value for your dollar, for your euro doesn't go as far anymore. And now we have SpaceX that IPO'd with, like a massive price point. When the stock came out, it was at 135. And I think now it's somewhere in the 80s range. And one thing that's coming up over the next 2 weeks, it's going to be a massive unlock for people who are either early investors in SpaceX or, of course, like the shareholders who are the employees, right? And it could have been like 10, 15 years of them working in the company and finally seeing some payout. So there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. But what we're about to see over the next months is that massive amount of money, and we can get into the specifics in a second, is basically getting unlocked. So the people that own those SpaceX shares will want to cash some of it in. And there's going to be a lot of new millionaires minted, a lot of tech millionaires and people with those companies. And it's interesting to see where that flow of money is going to go. Now, we've talked about in the past that OpenAI is rushing to IPO, Anthropic, potentially Polymarket as well, rumor. So it's quite interesting that with the Middle Eastern situation, I'm seeing that it looks like the US Fed is going to increase the rates, meaning, the interest that you pay on borrowing money. When capital is cheap and it's 1%, 0.5%, there's a lot of investment in startups. If you're going over 5, 6, 7, 10%, you're kind of screwed, right? So we're seeing it looks like the interest rates are going to increase. There's going to be less free money available. And feels like there's a lot of these big companies trying to squeeze all the dollars out of the system while the situation is still somewhat favorable. What's your read on this? And are you paying attention to where this money flow is going to go after, people kind of cash out from some of these IPOs? Because also to give users listeners a bit of a context, a lot of times when somebody's very wealthy, they got their money sitting in a fund of some kind being managed by somebody, but it doesn't necessarily create new value. It's just you're trading your Apple stocks for some bonds, your bonds in the US for Japan, whatever the case may be. But actually, when we have IPOs like SpaceX, this where kind of new money, new value is created. So I know I gave you kind of a long introduction, but
I wouldn't
yeah, what are
claim
your thoughts?
I'm a stock expert, right? So
And again, this is not a stock advice, but
let
maybe
me-
more
let me-
on the macro.
few minutes ago, we were talking about companies take from the leaders, right? So we were talking about Pavel and Mark. And whether we like it or not, the leader of the world now is very stock savvy. So, and like it's how it is. The dynamics, I don't know who writes the rules. Let's put it like in when it is more stability, private money was more used. People were actually keeping value using the private money. So private equities, venture capitals, hedge funds, they're all like actually making sure that they own what they can and then they grow value from there. Historically, to put a stock in the market, it needs to be generating cash because customers were buying stocks based on a valuation, and that valuation has to at least be sensible. So if you remember the IPO of Snapchat, or even the early IPOs of Meta, it's still a loss-making company, right? And that loss-making company, you put it into an IPO market, which let's call the stock market again. It's the same like the App Store, right?
An App Store.
There's stocks there. You go and buy stock and release stocks, right? So and then I'm moving that company, investment in that company, from the locked circle of the investors and founders to the public, and let's let the public also say their words. So in earlier, you actually saying how you like or don't like the platform by buying their product, right? And you move to the next step and you start actually saying how you like or don't like the platforms by buying their stock. There is a lot of there's a lot of financial engineering around it, and there's people that are working on that. But I'm a big fan of, if I'm using Starbucks, I will buy the stock of Starbucks. If I'm using Coca-Cola, I'll buy the stock of Coca-Cola. If I hold an iPhone, I get the app. If I'm one of the users, I am better as well taking at least part of that. And in my mind,
Being an
at least
investor,
I'm taking part of my money back. If it grows, I grow. So and maybe I'm not advising a stock advice. I'm giving a life advice here. I would recommend that if if a big fan of using certain product, then invest in them. Then you are already the first signal that this actually is a good product there.
Valuable to somebody.
So go back and to your question about the wave of IPOs. I think because of what is happening in the Middle East, because of the instabilities of the world, because of the existing leader in the world, he is pushing back the world to a certain order where it was before 10, 15 years ago, where things has to be on stocks. Stocks says the final word. Why are you keep chasing money on the closed doors? Go chase money in public, and let's get the public to say the final word. And which I think it's a very good treat, to be honest. And for the first time, Elon Musk has been the guru for some time, but I think in the closed doors, doing his own things, closing deals in his own way, and we hear rumors or whatever. For the first time, he will have to come on the stage and actually tell what is happening in the company in details, because now we are shareholders and let's know what's happening. So, and
SpaceX,
I think, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say SpaceX is also like pretty much a monopoly in this vertical, right? Of course, you can buy Boeing. Of course, you can buy Lockheed Martin, but in purely space transportation exploration, I mean, SpaceX is the only player, is the name of the game itself, basically. So I think Musk is, putting on the magic trick, kind of drawing maybe some of this attention. And, there's rumors that Tesla is going to merge with SpaceX. Which is quite interesting. They're also, I believe, releasing their first earning report like in the next couple of days. So obviously he's doing his magic.
It comes with the unlock. It's coming with the unlock.
Speaking of the unlock, so they raised 1.7, 1.8 trillion for SpaceX, and 44% of the shares could hit the market as early as September, right? So it's like almost, $900 some million coming on the market. We also saw kind of a similar situation when SpaceX kind of absorbed and took over SolarCity. And I think there's also two other companies involved in the deal, where you can see usually a lot of IPOs kind of bottom out within a year, give or take. Obviously, if the company scrap, sometimes they never recover, right? But companies that you believe in, the Apples, the Teslas, the Amazons, after that, they usually start kind of decline back up. So again, not investment advice, nothing like that, but probably you don't want to buy a stock like SpaceX or even Anthropic or even ChatGPT the day it comes out. You might want to wait like 6 months to a year for it to potentially hit the bottom.
There's investment savvies that they know what they're doing. So probably people know that the first week of the IPO is where there's a
big spike,
rush, and then dip, and then there is another dip. But if you believe on the value of the company, or you are
long-term,
actually understanding the vision and the clarity of the company long term, that's different types of investors. However, I think what is really interesting for me is the new wave of IPOs, regardless what the result says. Like the new wave of IPOs is pushing the market into a correction. Instead, it has been consolidated. People had no, for a long time actually, people had no options of investments except real estate or actually certain 5-6 stocks.
Gold.
And it kept drove our gold, and I think start throwing different industries, different playgrounds, different stuff into there. It's a good reuse of the proper company marketplace that can make the normal citizen of world it participate if that's the wallet. So I'm excited for those, because it's also I rather know what is happening in the company and the public statements of the company and how they're doing things from a proper public statement that is legally controlled, like being listed in the stock market, than actually keep hearing a lot of rumors in and out of a lot of things. And it's very uncomfortable actually that you're using something, you're giving it almost now with specifically with AI, you're giving it almost your soul, and it gets to know how you think, it gets to know how you do, but you really don't have a certain mechanism to know what is happening behind doors. And it's almost tied up to what I was telling you about Telegram. I don't know whether they're doing it right, or I don't know if there's a moderator or not a moderator. It's I am taking his word. So you're taking the founder word, and once it becomes public, it's not his word anymore. There is auditing, there's stuff, there's a lot of things. However, back to the story here, and I think we're coming to close, is I'm happy with the platforms becoming platforms again. And you go and reach and actually use that, be it a marketplace platform or a application platforms like the App Store, or a messaging platform is starting becoming that new distribution channel for products, or the stock markets back to do their job and let the people also understand and punish and unpunish directly, straight, live. You are not good. I am selling your stock now, clear, straight, and that will actually do a lot of market correction, to be honest.
And I guess, another major takeaway here, maybe we can wrap up there, is that it becomes obvious that every operator has to sits at a gate of some kind, whether it's a distribution channel, whether it's a customer base, a market window. And the scholars, like Apple in this situation, kind of guard their gates and sit, a little bit more quiet. And then we have the magicians, like the Elons, the Darius from Anthropic. They kind of point it at a target and open it, and I guess the question is, if somebody's an operator here, business person, what are they sitting on? Do they have to guard it, or do they have to try to open some gates, or moderate the flow? So I think it's an interesting question to keep an eye on. And obviously with the new investments and unlocks coming up, we'll be keeping an eye over the next 6 months where this newly minted wealth flows, and try to catch some early tech trends. What do you think, Amir?
Definitely, I like the wrap up, and I think magicians by nature actually don't like rules, which is good, part of the innovation. And having a scholar that started as a magician that knows it takes one to know one, right? So they know how it is, how it has been done. So and they put that certain control on the platforms. I think stock markets is a very good way of controlling things and making sure that the right amount of information is shared in a well-regulated way. Two trends I would like to spot on now: the marketplace trend, the movement into the marketplace trend, and the second one is hiring the founder. We have seen it a few times. It's a very interesting trend. You could see it actually. People are now not hiring a person; they're hiring the founder of an idea. I'm taking it all from being a feature, from being a product, to become a feature in my product with the leader that have done that. So it's a very interesting trend. We can see clearly that it's actually now the new qualification. It's setting a good tone, and I would say keep an eye on that.
Interesting. Well, let's revisit those topics down the line. Amir, I'll let you get back to your business. I got some things to run as well. So we'll catch our listeners next time. Thank you for your attention and time. And we hope you got some value out of this episode.